Having a well-optimized heads-up display in video games is extremely important. In Final Fantasy XIV, this is especially true. With each job having more than 20 skills to pay attention to at max level, damage over time abilities, buffs, debuffs, cooldowns, and specific job mechanics, there's always a lot of information on screen, and having that information well organized goes a long way. Today, we're going to talk about customizing the HUD in FF14. The game's default HUD gets the job done well enough, but it isn't incredibly efficient. With the enemy parameters placed miles away from your hotbar and health, your eyes will be darting all over the screen to take in the relevant battle information. With that said, the simplicity of this setup is what makes it usable. I use a variation of this setup in job overview videos for that reason. 3 hotbars, the job gauge, status bar, enemy health, and player health all in one big chunk. It's not the perfect setup, but it works. When you start customizing your HUD, there are a lot of traps you can fall into, namely trying to create something stylish without being conscious of functionality and vice versa. I've fallen into those traps on many occasions. Since the start of Stormblood, the addition of job gauges has been a huge quality of life improvement, but it's been a nightmare trying to create a symmetrical layout with them, especially on jobs that have 2. My setups have never been bad, but over the last month, they've ranged from being a hot mess to an absolute clusterfuck. After a few hours of tedium, I came up with this. A big in-your-face setup with 4 hotbars sprawled across the screen, most of the relevant player information tucked underneath, with the enemy parameters and player status bar on top. This is a nice setup and it's a step in the right direction, but it's not entirely what I'm looking for. The question is, what is the right direction? The problem with this setup is that it's not doing a good enough job of condensing information. The hotbars are stretched too far and the information is creeping too high on screen for my liking. The best HUD in my mind shows all of this information but doesn't get in the way of all the pretty colors and flashing lights of combat. This layout is the culmination of more hours than I'd like to admit. Nothing's been stripped down or taken away, but everything is tighter and better than it was before. This layout displays all the relevant battle information in a small space and keeps the screen free of clutter, so even during the most intense battles you can appreciate the beauty of Final Fantasy XIV. The player and enemy parameters are placed next to each other on the bottom center of the screen, with 3 hotbars and job gauges tucked underneath. A 4th hotbar is sitting above to display specific cooldowns and abilities. This is the best setup I've ever come up with, and it's going to make my play experience infinitely more satisfying in the coming weeks, months, and maybe even years. This setup might not be perfect, and there's a good possibility it won't work for you, but it provides a lot of answers to problems I've been having since the launch of Stormblood. How do I display all the information I need to be a competent player without obstructing the visuals of this game? Setting up your HUD in FF14 is a deeply personal experience. There are plenty of similarities between players, but there's a unique twist that everyone puts on their layout to make it their own. This is mine, but if you think it'll be helpful, feel free to take some notes and use it for yourself. With all of that said, I'm really looking forward to the next videos because they're going to have this new and improved heads-up display instead of the mess that I've been using up to this point. Now, I think you all know that it is time for us to announce that the name of this game is Final Fantasy XIV. The name of the channel is iBluairJgR Gaming for Comedy. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and don't be lazy, leave a comment. All you have to do is write a few words about whatever you're feeling in your heart. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.